We begin with the political and humanitarian crisis in Haiti. Canada is among many nations taking part in an emergency meeting over how to respond. Footage and images from the weekend shows the aftermath of gangs seizing control of the capital, Port-au-Prince. They're threatening civil war if Prime Minister Haiti Henri doesn't resign, and he's currently in Puerto Rico, unable to return because of the violence. The U.S. and some other countries have begun evacuating non-essential embassy staff. Caribbean, North American, and European leaders and diplomats gathered in Jamaica today to discuss next steps, including Canada's ambassador to the United Nations, Bob Ray.
The real problem right now is the port is closed and the airport is closed. So those two things make it very difficult to get assistance, supplies, and food in. The power of the gangs has extended and expanded because as much as the Haitian National Police has tried to do so, on its own, it can't respond in a necessary way to establish order.
For more on the escalating violence, Henri Paul Normandin is Canada's former ambassador to Haiti, and he joins us now. It's good to have you back, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon.
I wonder if I could get your sense of this escalation in violence over the weekend. Where does this leave things in Haiti right now?
Well, I think we've seen a qualitative difference in what's happening in Haiti because week by week, the gangs are taking greater control. And as has been mentioned before, the port, the airport are under more or less the control of the gangs, not totally, but it's getting there. So week by week, it's getting more difficult. So the challenge at this point in time, and the reason why leaders are meeting in Jamaica today around the CARICOM is to try to get a consensus amongst Haitian political leaders and civil society leaders to establish a government of transition to replace the government of Ariel Henry, which has proven completely incapable of handling the situation. So we're awaiting news from this meeting, and we'll see what comes out of it.
There's no clear way out of the capital right now, and CBC News has been speaking to Canadians who are stuck there. The airports are closed, the ports are closed. How do people get out of Haiti right now if they're eager to get to safety?
Well, the usual question in a crisis like this, and I've dealt with a few in Haiti, the first question you've got to ask is, are you in better security to stay put where you are? Or is it better to start moving and try to find your way out? So at this point in time, my understanding is that the Canadian diplomats are staying put. But if the situation gets worse, and if of course, the normal way to exit would be the airport, but if that is not an option, possibly the road to the Dominican Republic. And if that is not an option, we might have to do what the Americans have done and bring in some helicopters to pull people out. But it's not a simple operation, and I think that Canada is not yet at that point.
I mean, would it be advisable for Canadians, given everything that we're seeing, to try to make their way to the Dominican Republic? I know we're seeing other countries getting their diplomatic staff out and trying to get them out through that way, but it seems like that would be a tough trek for ordinary citizens, given what's happening in the country right now.
Absolutely, because in Haiti, it's very easy to block a road, and there is one main road to the Dominican Republic from Port-au-Prince. It's not that far away. We're talking about maybe something like 40, 50 kilometers. Mm-hmm. But if somebody blocks that road and you end up stuck on that road, it's dangerous for you. So I'm not on the ground, obviously, and it's a call for people there to make. And as to advice to Canadian travelers and people who are in Haiti, I would rely on the advice that the government of Canada will give in due course. But again, the key question is, am I safer where I am currently? And do I expose myself to danger if I get on the road? You've got to weigh the pros and cons.
The Canadian embassy is closed, though consular services are continuing. The staff are working remotely, which, while helpful, is obviously not optimal for a mission to be operating under that capacity. When do you get to the point where you just decide as a country or as an ambassador that your staff have got to get out of there? I mean, what we're seeing and what we're hearing out of the country, are we getting close to there?
Well, the Americans have already taken that decision, and so have the Germans, and I hear that the EU as well. So more and more diplomatic missions are getting there. But from what I hear, Canada has not yet made that call. So it's a difficult call to make. And if you pull out, in terms of the embassy, if you pull out some staff, you will probably leave at least a core staff at the embassy, the ambassador, and a few other people to keep it running. And of course, the wider issue is for the Canadian community at large. What do you do, especially if you cannot access the airport? If you can access the airport and the Canadian government can, or commercial flights are available, then of course it becomes easier. But just getting to the airport can be a challenge in itself. And I've lived a few moments like that myself in the past.
Yeah, the things you went through, sir, do they compare to what we're seeing right now? Is this at a greater level of escalation, or is this, I don't want to say normal, but has this happened before in your experience?
Yes, it is. There have been a few instances like that in the past, but I think that the situation is pretty dire at this point in time, because again, week by week, the gangs have been taking control of many parts of the city. It used to be that gangs were only in certain districts and sometimes would get out of it, but currently they control basically 80% of Port-au-Prince, including the surroundings of the airport. So that's why the two key challenges today are getting a government, probably a transition government in place that can regain control of the state, that hopefully can lead the Haitian National Police to exercise its activity more effectively, and probably to hope for the arrival of an international multilateral security mission to give assistance to the police of Haiti. But all these three things together, it's not obvious that there will be success at the end of the day.
You talked about a transitional government. Does that mean, in your view, Ariel Henry is simply done and that he will have to go? I mean, if he can't get back into the country, it's tough to lead it. And even if he did get back in, it seems like he wouldn't be accepted. So is it your view Ariel Henry simply has to leave and some sort of new power-sharing arrangement needs to be created?
Yes, I think his political days are counted. There was a deficit of legitimacy when he was appointed right from the start. And secondly, in the 2 years that he's been there, he has proven totally incapable of moving the country forward and of handling the situation. And he has very little support within Haiti itself. And I think that the international community also has had it with him. So I'd be very surprised if there was a place for Ariel Henry in a transition government. But again, getting the Haitian political and civil society leaders to agree on the composition of a transition government is not obvious. It's what the CARICOM leaders and the Haitians are trying to do this afternoon. And again, we'll see what comes out of it. If nothing comes out of this meeting, the situation on the ground will get worse. If there's a decision this afternoon, then there is some hope that the situation might get back under control.
So is there a way, like we've been waiting for this multinational force led by Kenya to come to Haiti to try to stabilize things, but that is being held up because of legal disputes in Kenya, and that has not materialized. And now the gangs have controls over massive territory in the capital and all of the key infrastructure. So can the Kenyan force even be a solution at this point? How do you even begin to tackle this sort of a security environment from the outside, or does it just have to be a political solution at this point, sir?
Well, political solution has to be part of the security equation, that is certain. But just to focus on the security for a moment, the first word that comes to mind when I think of the multilateral security mission is challenges with an S. There were issues in Kenya, as you pointed out. I think that these are being resolved. But then the next question is, can the security mission land in Port-au-Prince, given the activity of the gangs around the airport? So that's question number one. And if the multilateral mission is successful in landing in Haiti, the next question is, will they have the capacity and the firepower to deal with the gangs and to restore some degree of security? The answer is far from obvious. The gangs are now so well organized, have so much firepower, that it remains questionable whether a few thousand policemen and women, and not soldiers, but policemen and women coming from outside, will have that capacity. I hope that they do, but it's a big question mark. Just
one final question before we let you go. If not Ariel Henry, who? I mean, these gangs can't be part of a transitional government, can they? I mean, how do you even begin to build something that can function in this kind of an environment?
Well, exactly. Part of a government, I doubt it very much, but they are a reality that one way or another we have to cope with. Either politically, one way or another, they are appeased, or they are neutralized by security forces, the police, Haitian National Police, and a multilateral security force. But they're a force to reckon with, and they have put forward some proposals. Some of their political allies have put forward some proposals for a transition government, and I think that that would not be a happy solution for Haiti. But one way or another, we have to find a way to cope with them because they're unfortunately part of the reality on the ground.
Henri Paul Normandin, Canada's former ambassador to Haiti. We appreciate your insight. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Pleasure.